Hey everyone, so I just want to start out this video with a little thought experiment. So any non-diabetics watching, imagine your water bill jumped up to $1,000. It didn't matter if you drink tap water, bottled water, however you got your water, it was now going to cost you $1,000 a month. I mean, how would you even react to that? What if you had limited funds and you could either choose between paying for water or paying for rent? What other sacrifices would you have to make? Would you have to limit how much food you eat? I mean, how would you react to something that vital to your existence and your health becoming that prohibitively expensive? Hi, I'm Jake. I've been a type 1 diabetic for 16 years now, and insulin to me is just as vital as water is to you. I mean, obviously not in volume. Thankfully I don't need half a gallon of insulin every day, but in the consistency that I need it. So if I don't have insulin within one day, I would be in a state called diabetic ketoacidosis. And sadly, if that ketoacidosis went untreated, it takes insulin to treat it, then it would likely kill me within less than a day. So as you might have guessed from my little analogy, insulin costs about $1,000 a month. I'm prescribed 3 vials. Cash price comes out to $1,079 or somewhere in that range. So thankfully there's health insurance that can help reduce that cost, and I am super blessed to have amazing health insurance. But what if a diabetic doesn't have access to affordable health insurance, or they're on a plan that has a high deductible? Say someone has a $7,000 deductible. That means that 7 months of the year, or over half the year, they are paying full price for insulin. Sadly, this isn't as uncommon as you would think. 25% of diabetics 1/4 report having to ration insulin due to cost. And unsurprisingly, these patients that are having to ration their insulin, they have much poorer control over their blood sugar than people who don't. And by the way, this isn't exclusive to diabetics and insulin. In the US, 17% of people have reported skipping or rationing a prescription due to cost. So really what I'm just hoping to do with this video is kind of just explain why things are the way they are and my thoughts on how to fix it. So when it came to insulin prices, this really broke national headwinds about a year ago because of a young man named Alex Smith. Alec was a young man. He had just turned 26, which under the Affordable Care Act meant that he no longer qualified to stay on his parents' insurance. Alec worked at a restaurant and he was making about $40,000 a year, which, was kind of at least in Idaho where I live, it's kind of the point where you make enough that you don't qualify for very much like government subsidies or any like programs like Medicaid or patient assistance programs, but you don't make enough that money isn't very tight. So when Alec turned 26, he qualified to get his own health insurance, and he explored the marketplace, and he did get some subsidy, but the most affordable plan is going to be $400 a month and have a $7,000 deductible, which those costs at that income it's too much. Like, no one could afford that. And by the way, that's not his max out of pocket. That's just his deductible. We don't know how much of the insulin the insurance would have covered once he had met his deductible, but based on those numbers, it's safe to estimate that it wasn't very high. It wasn't going to cover a high percentage of the cost. So at that point, Alec just decided he was better off without the insurance and just said that he would pay for his insulin out of pocket. So he did, and he went to his pharmacy, and he was told that his prescription of insulin would be $1,200 or somewhere in that range, and he only had about $1,000 in his bank account, so he had to go without insulin, and he was just trying to make it to payday. Alex started rationing what little insulin he had left, just trying to get to that next payday, and within a couple days he was found dead in his apartment. His death was caused by diabetic ketoacidosis. And that story is just absolutely heartbreaking, and it's not the only one like that. There have been dozens of people who have died because of situations like this, and that is just unacceptable. This story really became famous because Alex's family, especially Alex's mom, really just started protesting everywhere that she could and trying to draw as much attention to this as possible, because she didn't want any mother to have to go through what she went through. No mother should have to lose a kid because they cannot afford insulin. And while it's easy to just cry out at the big pharma companies that produce insulin and just blame it all on greed and trying to get more profit. That's not the whole story. So let's dive in and let's do a little background. So when it comes to pharmaceuticals in general, not just insulin, there's really two big parties. There's the manufacturer, which produces the product and sets the price, and there's the pharmacy benefit managers. And what a pharmacy benefit manager does is it basically negotiates on behalf of the insurance. It negotiates deals with the pharmaceutical manufacturers. So for example, on my insurance, Novolog is the preferred brand, and they're a tier 1 drug. And what that means is that a pharmacy benefit manager on behalf of my insurance has negotiated with Novo Nordisk and basically has made them give the insurance kickbacks, and in exchange for that, it makes Novolog the preferred brand. So these kickbacks that the insurance get are often called rebates. So let's just say, and this is purely hypothetical, my prescription of Novolog, 3 vials is $1,079. Let's say they negotiated that the insurance gets a 70% rebate on that. And that of course means that Novo Nordisk gets the remaining 30%, and that goes towards their costs of labor, manufacturing, research and development, and of course profit for their shareholders. Now again, that situation is totally hypothetical, and I had to make it hypothetical because how much rebates do insurance companies get back? Nobody knows. How much of a kickback do these pharmacy benefit managers take? Nobody knows. What's the net profit for Novo Nordisk? Nobody knows. And that is the biggest problem with this system, is there's just zero transparency. And that is my first suggestion. And how to fix the problem is just to have total transparency on who gets what in each transaction. So just to give some context here, Novolog, when it first hit the market back in 2001, it had a list price of $39.75. Today, it now costs over $312. And well, there's no doubt that costs such as labor have gone up, and that Novo Nordisk has made a higher profit from each vial. I feel like a big part of this rising cost has gone to just compensating these rebates and these pharmacy benefit managers. Just another example to give, Eli Lilly, they manufacture a box of 5 Humalog insulin pens. They say their total costs, including labor, research and development, promotion, donations, and expected profits, is $122 for that box of 5 pens. That same box retails for about $530. Does this mean that we can assume that about 80% of that list price is going back in rebates? Again, we don't know that, and that's what's so frustrating about this, because it would just be so easy to just have full transparency and be able to see who's getting what of the list price of each vial of insulin sold. So that's one solution that I proposed, and there have been so many different solutions proposed. An option that's been thrown around is that we should buy insulin from Canada and allow people to import insulin from Canada. And in theory, I see the logic behind it, because insulin is dramatically cheaper in Canada. It's about 1/8 of the price as it is here. The problem with this, though, is, first of all, Canada's not a huge fan of it. It means that they have to buy insulin for just so many more people. And two, I just don't think it's good for the economy. So, here's how it's going to work. Eli Lilly is going to produce Humalog in America, ship it up to Canada, just to have Canada sell it back to us. It just doesn't make sense logistically, and it's just money going into Canada that should stay in America. By the way, the reason that insulin is so much cheaper in other countries such as Canada is because their governments negotiate the price. They say this is the most that we're willing to pay for insulin, and if you want to sell insulin in Canada, this is the price they're going to need to agree to. And unfortunately, the United States just doesn't do that, not even under Medicare. The one solution that I do really like, and actually it just got signed in recently, is Colorado. They put a cap on how much people are going to need to spend on insulin. They said people with insurance, the most that your copayment is going to be for a month of supply of insulin is going to be $100. And this is fantastic news, because really $100 a month is affordable for, I would say, pretty much everybody who doesn't qualify for Medicare. And the manufacturers seem to agree with this too. Since a congressional hearing that happened a couple months ago, all three big insulin manufacturers, so Sanofi, Novo Nordisk, and Eli Lilly, all three of them have released programs that will limit people's monthly out-of-pocket costs to $99 a month. Now, these plans seem fantastic, and the big advantage that they have over what Colorado just passed into law is that it works for cash customers too. You know, customers that don't have insurance are still only going to be paying $99 a month for their insulin. Now, did these companies just release these programs just out of the goodness of their heart? I don't believe so. I believe that they did it because they're scared. They don't want the government involved in their business, and this is them just saying like, okay, we'll cool it down. We'll throw you this bone so that you can just let us keep doing our thing. Sanofi's program, unfortunately, only applies to cash customers. They have said that it can't be used in conjunction with insurance, which really sucks for people who use Sanofi insulin but have high deductible insurance plans. That's not the case with Novo Nordisk or Eli Lilly's. They have said that it will work in conjunction with insurance plans, and those are set to roll out starting in 2020. Here's the problem with those plans though. Number one, it's totally up to the companies for how long they run. It could run for 4 months, and then Eli Lilly's like, okay, we're losing profit here. We got to cancel it. Number two is you have to sign up for it. So people who don't know about it won't qualify for it. They won't get these discounts. They'll still be paying $1,200, $1,300 a month for their insulin. But these are steps in the right direction, and I think that they're going to be awesome and benefit a lot of people. It means that even people who don't have access to affordable insurance, they can still, pay $99 a month for insulin, and thanks to rely on brand test strips being so cheap, they can test 4 times a day for $20 a month. And test strips are really all the diabetics need to survive. Insulin pumps definitely add a lot of convenience, and CGMs really do make a remarkable difference in control of blood sugar, but they're not essential to living. Insulin and test strips are, and the fact that these are going to be so affordable for so many people is just incredible. But what if we just took this one step further? So here's what I propose. I think that the government should require all insurances to carry all 3 major brands of insulin. And here's the kicker. They should do the one with the lowest list price for $0 patient responsibility. The government already does this with birth control. They say whatever birth control you want, your insurance is going to cover it 100%. So if they did this with insulin, here's what I think would happen. So let's just throw out a hypothetical. Let's say that Novolog is $330 a vial, Humalog is $300, Sanofi's insulin is $320. Okay, under this, patients would have $0 responsibility for Humalog. And if they wanted a different brand, say they preferred Novolog, then they would just be responsible for their copay and the difference. So say I have a 15% copay, I'm responsible for 15% of that $30 difference, or $4.50. So if I really prefer Novolog, that's still a very affordable, feasible option for me. And here's what I think will happen. Everybody will just flock towards the insulin that is the absolute cheapest for them. And it will create a real race to the bottom, meaning that the list price of insulin will just fall like crazy. And the manufacturers will be able to afford to do so, because now that all the major brands of insulin are required to be covered, then it eliminates the need for rebates, and the list price going down just benefits all customers. Customers with insurance, customers with high deductibles, customers paying cash. The list price going down will just benefit them so much, and customers who opt in to have insurance will get their insulin at no charge. So those are kind of just my 2 thoughts that I had. Number one, and this should happen no matter what, is we should just have more transparency when it comes to the rebate system. There's no negative to just having more transparency when it comes to that. And number 2, by far my most aggressive approach, is to just make the most affordable insulin absolutely free to people with insurance. And I think that that's a good thing, because people should never not be able to afford what keeps them alive. So I don't know, guys. Give me your thoughts. Do you have an idea that maybe could solve this crisis? Or do you maybe find a flaw in my systems that I might need to fix? Just let me know down below in the comments. And also, if there's anybody out there who's struggling to pay for their insulin, leave it down in the comments as well. There may be like a program or something that I know about that you might not. For example, I used to pay $130 for my insulin, or $129.44 to be exact. I found a program that I qualified for that cut the cost by $100. So maybe I can do something like that to help you guys out. So if you're struggling at all, no promises, but I'll do what I can. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I put so much time and effort into this video, and I researched so much. All I ask in return is, please guys, just hit the like button. I'm pretty much begging you at this point. And also, if you're new to this channel, please just subscribe. Check out my other videos. This is my 4th one. The other 3 I thought were pretty great. They're nowhere near as long or in depth as this one. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Have a good one.